right. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the another session of Open Innovator series, where we, bring together India's hottest startups and industry leaders to, explore the frontiers of innovation and to foster groundbreaking collaborations as well. Well, that is very important. I am Naman, your host for this session, and I can see it's almost 5 past 5. Right, 5. And the perfect time to, grab your favorite beverage, be it tea, coffee, whatever suits you at this point of time. Settle yourself into a comfortable chair and get ready for an inspiring journey into the future of coding. Well, yes, you heard it right. Today's session is dedicated to AI powered coding. Today we'll discuss a topic that not just trending, but it's truly transformative, AI powered coding. And yes, AI has been the talk of the town, and it's not just for self-driving cars or beating humans at chess. It's here to transform the way we write code. Now, before we dive in, right, a little icebreaker to up get us all warmed up, right? Can we have a quick show of virtual hands or just drop it in the chat? How many of you have ever wished your code could, just write by itself? All right, I see. All right. I see those hands. Mine is up too. Well, that's exactly what some of our startups today are working on, right? Speaking of which, we have three amazing startups joining us today, each one pushing the boundaries of what's possible with innovation in AI coding. They'll be pitching their innovative solutions and have a stellar panel. And we also have a panel of industry leaders, experts who will be providing feedback, insights, and perhaps even more, you know, insights into collaboration opportunities as well. We'll also discuss some of the possible use cases. But first, let introduce our esteemed panel of industry leaders. These experts are rock stars in their field, and we are pretty happy to have them with us. We have Bhavyan Mehta, Senior Director, Comward. Hi, Bhavyan. We have Srinivasan Mahalingam, VP Customer Success Gaps. We also have Abhinav Kashyap, Senior Director, Baxter. We have Nithya Subramaniam, Head of Data Analytics, Kelnova. We have Praveen, who's the Chief Operating Officer of Happiest Mind. We have Mohit Gupta, who's the Senior Director at Adobe. So welcome everyone. Well, I must say today you have an exciting task ahead, reviewing the pitches and exploring some, co-creation opportunities for specific use cases, right? And, before we introduce the startup and open the session, we would, like to get some quick insights from our experts as we can see all of them on the screen right now. All right, we have Nithya, Praveen, Akshay, Abhishek, right, everyone. We have Vyam. All right, perfect. And we would like to get some quick insights. But before that, I have a funny story to share, right? And we have a startup called Apto with us today. A couple of months back, we took Deepak, who's the founder of Apto, to Hyderabad to meet one of our partners. So there was a foreign delegation we had to impress. So Deepak was one of these startups out of the 20 startups that we took. Deepak had to pitch to them. So Deepak started his pitch with a bang. He said, I have built a platform. And imagine there was a big delegate, that company, all the employees are sitting over there, Deepak alone standing. He started his pitch saying, I have built a platform where you can code without developers. Well, bold move, right? Well, a little later, a group approaches me looking very serious. They said, Naman, we are the software developers, and we just wanted to check if this thing that Deepak just spoke about really works. Because, we really like our jobs. Well, I must say it was quite a movement at that point of time. And on the same note, to all our experts out there, let me ask you on the same context, on the same note, how do you see AI transforming the role of software developers in the next, 5-10 years? And what skill, if we talk about a particular skill set, what skill will be the most critical for developers to stay relevant in this digital age? All right. So it's an open question. Anyone can answer it. Please. Abhishek, Bhavyan, anyone, or Nithya?
Yeah, so I think Yeah, so we have been trying to use AI here internally, right, for doing a lot of these kind of development activities. We are actively using Copilot. We dabbled around with ChatGPT, went on to Perplexity, tried Gemini or Bard and all those things, right? And what we realized was it is really cool and amazing where it can give you a code up to like it can give you 80% accurate code, right? Like and it's only the last 20% that you want to go and join the dots or connect the dots, right? And then take it there. The most interesting part for me was right. Uh, I now don't have to learn any programming language. As an example, right? Like I always wanted to do something in Go. And frankly, I never found that kind of a time or opportunity to learn Go and do something, right? And here I'm giving or throwing, the problem statements, and it is able to generate a very good Go code for me. And the realization at that time was, hey, this is what is going to happen. Now we all have to go back to our basics. We have to make sure that our fundamentals are really strong and clear, where we will have to be very clear in our mind as to what kind of problem we are solving, provide those algorithms or strategies, and then right, the code is going to be written in a way which is going to be like really flawless, and that's what it is. So for us to be relevant, what I realize and what I keep telling my team here at Commvault too, right, is we need to make sure that we do clear and are very sincere in our basics. We have that clarity of thought about what type of problem we are trying to solve, and also right, we should be able to give the right directions. Writing code now is not going to be that big of a challenge anymore.
No, absolutely. Very neatly put.
I'd like
Anyone
to
would
go
like
next.
to
This
add to
is
it? All right.
yeah, this is Praveen. So see, the perspective is a little different, right? It's not just about writing code. It's also about managing and maintaining code that is written over all these years that has to be sustained, right? So are developers required? Developers are absolutely required. There's no two ways. With what is coming, right? How it helps us in terms of writing complex code, how does it make a developer's life simpler? What kind of experience a developer is going to get? What are the prerequisites that a developer has to learn and apply these tools? I would say would make a difference in terms of people choosing what platform or what tool they want to use, right? With generating code, right? We are good, but in terms of identifying issues or debugging, how easy will platforms be for us to identify defects when it occurs? Those are the things where you really need humans. 5, 10. I don't know. I don't want to guess what's going to happen in the future, but we have seen innovations like Devin, where a complete bot is going to program. So I think this space is evolving very, very rapidly. And it's an exciting lifetime for us to witness uh, pre-digital era to what we are seeing. I mean, at least me, I don't know, there could be a lot younger people in this crowd. Uh, and what we will witness during our lifetime where AI really takes off. Um, and with generative AI, the entry of enterprises to use AI is only getting easier and more and more acceptable.
Yeah, I want to
Karan,
add on top of what Bhavyan and Praveen mentioned. I mean, kind of bringing both the point of views together. The thing is, see, where we stand right now, Naman, is that we are relying on these large language models to kind of um, go through all the historical coding, the programs and probably the practices, etc., and then kind of generate code. And of course, right now, in the shape and form they are more highly likely to go wrong with a lot of aspects, including, in fact, the first time generation of code plus their ability to debug. But what I'm positively looking forward to are two trends. One trend is in the space of coding and Copilot, as we move more and more from large language models to large action models, right? Where we are moving to kind of an ecosystem of not just code generators, but also agents who can kind of orchestrate the entire end-to-end life cycle from design to development to sustainment to enhancement, right? This is probably, I would say, where the world is moving towards, right? Another trend which I'm observing and which Bhavyan rightly spotted, rightly mentioned, is that increasingly human beings are getting freed up from the cognitive download of doing a lot of coding, right? And the best is that to kind of, for us to define the right prompts and then let the large language model for now and then future large action models to could kind of generate the code and do all the end-to-end stuff, which currently probably a team of 5 and 10 or more than that would do. But the another trend which I'm looking towards, and I'm very positive, is that the altitude or I would say the differentiation of the problems that we are solving is going to grow bigger. So therefore, there is no problem of humans being kind of replaced. There's no problem of humans being kind of rendered jobless. It's only that we would be 10 years down the line or 20 whatever 5 years down the line, we would be kind of more at the crux of finding the problems to solve which really matter, whereas everything else is going to be taken care of, the large action models or the multimodal large models, etc.
Well, right. You can't put it better. Thank you, Nitya. Thank you, Bhavya, and thank you, Praveen, for the opening context, right? And uh, we had just got started. And one thing that I can promise to all our attendees or everyone who has joined us is, so this is not just a one-way session. This will be a more of an engaging session wherein we promise each one of you to keep you engaged, right? And moving on, now it's time to meet, and we'll hear more from our experts as we go along, right? Now it's time to meet our innovative startups who can turn prompts into products, right? We have Deepak from Apto.ai, whose story we just discussed. We have Amartya from Codeant.ai. We have Abhishek Saikia from Kusho.ai. All right, so we have everyone on the screen. Perfect. Well, it's true. You tell them what you want to build, and their AI engine can actually do it, right? And so all our guests, on everyone who has joined us. So here is a little task as promised. We are keeping you engaged, right? Think of an innovative solution that you would want AI-powered coding tool to build for you. I repeat, you may think of any innovative solution that you want AI-powered coding can build for you, right? Either Deepak can do it for you, Amrita can do it for you, or any startup can do it for you, right? If you ask me, I would, go for an AI that can perfectly predict stock market or elections, right? Just kidding. So to provide a more insightful answer to and to set the stage for our session and to open the session, may I please invite our CEO, Mr. Sanjeev Malhotra, to set the context. Sir, can we have you on the screen, please? All right. So we'll have him on the, all right. So we'll have him during the session. I think he has not joined yet, but anyway, so we'll move to our first startup or first pitch, I would say, our first innovator. We have Amartya Jha, the founder from Codeant.ai. Right, Amrit, we see you. You have 8 minutes. I'll, brief all the starters with a format. You will have 8 minutes to, talk about 3 key pointers: the problem statement that you are solving, the tech stack that you have built, and the impact that it can create, right? After deployment, right? And you are free to talk more in the time frame, 8 minutes, and then we open up for the questions, and then our experts can come in and share their feedback. So Amrit, you are the first speaker. Good luck. Over to you.
Thank you. Do I mind if I share my screen?
Please do. Please do.
Amazing. Do let me know when you guys can see it. Can you?
Yes, we can see you. All right. Perfect.
Amazing.
Good. All right. Pretty cool blazer, Amrit.
Yeah, that's why I kept it. So, hey, hi guys, I'm Amartya. I'm the CEO of Codeant.ai. So, what do I do? So, we are building Codant. Everybody on the panel said one thing, which is we believe that AI is at its state that they can generate code which is 50 to 80% accurate. 80 is very high number, let's say. The actual numbers are even less than 15%. The biggest pain point for us in the industry is how do we use AI to find out code issues, actual code issues and bugs, maybe security vulnerabilities, and help it to fix it. So this was a big problem because generating code is an easy one. Now, imagine code generation requires you to be 30 to 50% accurate today, but code quality requires you to be 90% accurate because you can't go to a developer and say, this is wrong, and later he finds out that your tool is wrong. That won't be a good experience, correct? So this is what we are solving. We are building an AI to auto-fix code issues and security vulnerabilities. We recently raised $2.1 million. We are trusted by some of the largest code quality and security investors based out of Valley and in Bangalore too. We were in the Y Combinator cohort, and some of the largest investors like Accomplice, correlated, uncorrelated invested in us. Just leave that behind. Let's see who are the customers. Right now in India alone, we have large unicorn customers like Tata 1MG who use our tool on a daily basis to make sure they are compliant, they have the highest code standard, and they're always secure. We have companies like Cipla Digital who use us to make sure no developer push anything bad in production. We have large data companies like Fractal Analytics, Excel Data using Codant.ai in their day-to-day environments. So what are the problems? Imagine this. If you're a developer, you never prioritize fixing things. Why? Because your team, whether it's a small team or a large team, you always have to ship features faster. This is always the case. The current tools which exist in the market like SonarQube, Veracode, Synopsys, Coverity, these are very old and legacy tools. They only detect few issues. None of them ever fix it, but we all require fixing because each and every one who are present here, their company gets compliant, like say SOC 2, PCI, HIPAC, GDPR, and we need to present those reports to get those compliance done. That is why it's a mandatory task. So what do? We tell our developers to fix it. Developers waste countless number of hours. They pick an issue, let's say from SonarQube, they understand the impact and they see, okay, this is a false positive. Let's say if it's not a false positive, they pick one, they try to find out the impact in CPU memory latency or a code quality or in terms of security. They write an actual fix, they test it out, they deploy. It's a mammoth work for every issue. Imagine a tool can do this for you. Wouldn't that be great? Lastly, if you go and work with large companies, let's say Cipla or Tata 1MG or Excel Data, they will tell you that they already know what a good coding practice should look like. For example, Tata 1MG uses Node.js. They exactly know how to manipulate event loops in Node.js for the best performance. The problem is this knowledge exists in videos, lectures, or in the minds of principal engineers, not actually in the actual development editors or pull request reviewers. We need to take this knowledge, which is fragmented about company specific best practice, learning, and put them together in one single tool that can do this for each and every developer. So what is the solution? AI alone can't fix it. So we need something that is called as ASTs. ASTs are your abstract syntax trees. Whenever we write code, we can break it down into smaller, much more modular piece, which is your AST, and then draw basically a code flow or a code diagram and understand how each and every function is related, and then use AI on top of it to reduce the blast radius. So our problem statement can be fixed by these 3 points. First, we need a tool that can comprehensively scan code every other time. Does code static analysis, start. That should be the first thing. Detect CPU memory latency issues automatically. Developers shouldn't be doing this because it's a trivial manual task. Detect misconfiguration in your IaaC or in cloud configuration. This is the first thing. The second thing is integrate in development environment. The first thing is integrate in their IDEs. Let's say VS Code or JetBrains or PyCharm, etc. Integrate with their pull request, which can be your GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, and provide them a centralized place where they can control everything. Lastly, this is the most appealing thing to enterprises, which is code governance. Allow these companies to add their custom best practices, policies, which they only know about, and they have documented in some other document to get them together and enforce it on a company-wide level. Enforce custom best practice learning, etc. So these are the 6 things that we provide as of today. We provide start, unit test, CSPM, which is cloud security posture management, IaaC, code governance and reporting. And I'll show you a quick demo of all of them. Can you see my screen? Is this visible? Can you see a black screen?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
So this is app.codeant.ai. You can directly integrate using GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, SSO. We also provide on-premise deployment. You can click on, let's say, GitHub. What this will do is it will scan your entire code base, find out and list all the repositories which are there in your entire organization. So I see Codeant.ai, I will see all the repositories which are there in Codeant.ai. Let's pick one repo. I'll click on Codeant.ci backend. It will scan that entire repository and give you a proper stat of your entire code base in one single dashboard. Today, engineering teams use this to understand what is their code health. Is it bad? Is it good? And they can do a bunch of things. They can add documentation in their code. They can find out security vulnerabilities. This is the application security. They can find out complex functions, bugs, infra security, cloud security. They can get reporting. The best thing is they can fix most of these stuff. So let's do that. Let's pick one example and go deeper. I talked a lot about bugs, so let's go there. I'll click on it. So we all have used tools like Sonar, Lint, ESLint, etc. They just detect issues. What if I have a tool like this, which finds out all the issues which is there in my entire repository, okay? And let's say I click on any one of them, it will describe what is bad. It will give me bad practice, a good practice, and a quick description. Let's say I have to fix one. What I'll do is I'll click on auto fixing. I'll see a bunch of things that I can fix. It will also show me the line number. I can go, it is connected to my GitHub, so it will pinpoint there. I can click on auto fix, auto fix, auto fix, auto fix. Click here and generate a pull request. It is as simple as that. I'll just run one fixing for you guys and show it to you. Let's say right now I found one issue, which was minor issue and seen in 8 files. But let's say we want to fix one full file. What I'll do is, let's say this file has a bunch of issues. I'll come here, click on auto fixing, click on current changes, click on fix anti-patterns. I'll give it 30 seconds to run because in the background, it's creating a code flow, understanding the code diagram, how each and every function is related, then trying to run ASTs on top, trying to get that result, running AI on top. Now, the result of AI, we have a very strong evaluation engine which checks whether the AI did a right thing or a wrong thing. If it didn't do a wrong thing, we just discard it. So once you clicked, you'll get a prompt like this where you can see everything that we changed. You will get a very good description and a diff. Let's review it one by one. Very simple example. A developer came, he created a dictionary. And let's say we wanted to iterate over every element of the dictionary. This code works, but imagine if we have 1 million data points here. This will be the slowest code ever. What Codeant did was it just replaced this to default it. And it is way more faster because it does the same operation in O of 1. It is as simple as that. Secondly, we had a database call here. This database call had a problem of context manager. There was no context manager. It's a pure case of resource leak. What Codeant.ai did was it found it out and it fixed it. It added a resource manager which checks it. Let's say you're a developer and you didn't like any suggestion. You can just click and revert it. If you want to add something, you come here, add the stuff, and just create a pull request. It's as simple as that. For companies, the best thing is they can add their custom best practices, rules, understand how and where their code is failing, and create a very good understanding of it. Today, we support 30 plus languages. These are all the languages that you will ever see. We have documented more than 30,000 patents in security, application databases, code governance, anti-patents. You can click on any one of them, understand how it works. You can find everything on docs.codeant.ai. Cool. Let's go back to our presentation. So I quickly jumped through it. I just showed you a bunch of stuff here. There's a very good reporting also that you can get. Reporting as in something that will be mailed to the repository owners every Monday morning, 7 a.m. And they can understand multiple things like how many new vulnerabilities were added, what is the code issue. For example, new CWE's issue that was detected, OWASP issue that was detected. How many new anti-patents are there? What was the weekly progress that the team did, etc. Coming back, what does the product integration look like? The first integration is a pull request because we believe developers spend a lot of their time on pull requests, correct? So how do we work there? So I'll come quickly to a pull request and show you how Codeant.ai can help you. Imagine you're a developer and you just created this PR. As a developer, you just create a random 12 file change, which no developer will ever review in their sane mind. But this is how we create it. Codeant.ai bot will sit on every pull request. We will summarize that pull request in the best possible manner because we have the entire context of your code base. We will write it in a manner that even a program manager can understand what is happening in this code. For example, we added an error handling. We fixed some anti-patents. We added a logging, etc. This is the first thing. The second thing is adding a change walkthrough, which acts like a system of record. Large teams really want their developers to document what kind of change was it. Was it an error handling, a bug fixing, a formatting, an enhancement, etc. Codeant.ai automatically does it for you. You don't have to waste your time for this. For example, if I'll click on it, it tells me that out of 12 files, I had one file where I changed just error handling. I added a try except log. I changed some configuration, etc. So this saves a lot of your time in doing. So these were the two hook features. Okay, let's come to the core features. We all are developers, and we understand that the number of security and DevOps engineers in any company is 1:10. The ratio is like this. We have one DevOps or security engineer to 10 developers. It's practically impossible for developers or even DevOps to check everything that is getting committed. Why not a tool should do it? So Codeant.ai bot will sit on every pull request, find out most critical infrastructure as a code issues, application security issues, anti-patents, code governance issues, company specific best practice issue, and list them directly on the pull request. So I'll click on this. So since my company use AWS, so I have a lot of cloud permission fail checks. Maybe you will be using Terraform, Docker, or AWS or GCP. We will list their issues. So I'll just click on it. Codeant.ai told me that we created a queue which was not encrypted, pretty bad. We added a Lambda function which is wrongly configured. We added a bucket which doesn't have logging policy. We added an IAM policy which is wrong. Now,
last 2 minutes, Amrita, you need to find it out.
100%. Now let's understand why it is important. This developer made a change. The biggest problem in the industry is how do we make sure that that developer understands this is the blast radius that you are introducing in the current code base. The current code base doesn't have these issues. This developer's change is going to include basically put these many issues in the current code. So this understanding is very much required. And we don't stop here. We will tell you exactly the line numbers where the issue are. You can click on it. It will open a diff, like basically it will directly go to the PR and it will add why this particular change was important. Why adding a queue, which is encrypted, is important here. And what will happen if you won't do it? Why adding a lambda function where the dead letter is important? And what will happen if you don't do it? So even if developers don't know the best practice, they will be learning every time they are creating pull request. And for DevOps and security engineers, it becomes a very good ride because there's a tool who is doing it for them. And they don't have to review hundreds of PRs on a weekly basis. Lastly, we scan for secrets. This is pretty common, like AWS access keys, secret key, expose keys, etc. We will tell you places where your code is bad, which is, it can be anything related to basically your code quality, CPU, memory, latency, which will come in anti-patterns. Again, you can click on them. Codeant.ai will provide you what is wrong. It will tell you this is the wrong thing that you're doing. It will tell you what the correct thing should be. And it will give you one-click fixing suggestions that you can click and fix. And we are developers, we don't trust anyone. So we will write, why is this important to Codeant.ai? And Codeant.ai will be able to tell me exactly why this is important because we have the best context of your code base. So this was the PR integration, correct? And I just have 2 minutes. I'll quickly run and show the last integration, which is IDs. Because imagine like this, control center is there for VP of engineering, director of engineering, and even senior engineering managers to understand what is bad. PR reviews are there for actual frontline engineers, DevOps, security to work. And extensions, we have extensions. We have 7 different extensions in VS Code, JetBrains, PyCharm, etc., where we help developers actually find code issues while they are writing and suggest them then and there so that they don't even push anything that is bad. The moment they are writing a code, there'll be a hover which will come, which will alert. They'll tell them that there is a code smell. You can click, understand the impact, fix it. And the best thing is, let's say you configured a company specific best practice, it will also show here and you can fix that. You can do a bunch of hook features like create documentation if you want to. You can do type hinting, you can create unit test, etc.
All right.
Amazing. So this
All
is one
right.
custom.
Thank you, Amritya. Thank you. Well, that was an impressive page, I must say. And if their AI can write code as smoothly as they present, Bhavyam, so I think we might have to, rename this event to the developers retirement party, right? Now let's, hear from our experts. We can see them on the screen. What are your thoughts on this pitch and any feedback or any use case that you can think of with them?
Amartya, can you hear me?
Yep.
Good. Thanks, Amartya. Very impressive. Great one. So my name is Srini. I'm from 𝗙𝗍 Technologies. Okay, so I can relate to what you have been saying, right? Day in and day out, the pain the team has been going through on this. By the way, I like the part where you said somewhere even program managers can understand this on your report, right? That was impressive. Amartya, my question is, we have been moving away from code writing and started adapting to a lot of no code, low code platforms. Okay, and also started using Copilot, etc., to even generate code, right? Now, my question is, since yours is more towards assisting on reviewing the code and fixing it automatically, how do you relate that in the context of developers using the no code low code platforms or even code generated by Copilot, etc., right? How can you just integrate this into that?
Sure. I opened this because I thought this question will come. How do we sit together with code generation tools? So both Tata 1mg and Excel Data, they both use code generation tools like Codium or Copilot. The biggest problem for them is developers are writing code which may not comply with the security standards. For example, Tata 1AMG, they want to be HIPAA compliant and they want to make sure everything that the developer is writing is compliant to that. Or for Excel data, they are going for SOC 2. They are SOC 2 and they are going for GDPR, and they want to make sure everything the developer write complies to that. And there is no check for that right now. You go for a third party like Vanta, Drata, Sprinto once a year, get a report, and they tell you 500 odd issues that you go back to developer and they have to fix it. What if someone can tell them with every pull request? That is the first thing. Second thing is both these code generation tools help you generate code which is 30 to 50% accurate. A lot other times the code is not modular. The code doesn't encompasses the entire logic, and developers has, and sometimes we have seen developer pushing the bad code in production, which leads to basically incidents and bugs. We want to be a player who assist people who are developing. It can be AI or actual developers, and be there to fix everything that is getting generated and make sure once we check there is nothing which is inaccurate or not secure. That is where we sit right now. And our aim is to kill SonarQube, which is doing $1 billion in ARR, and they just statically detect things and they don't fix it. So we wanted to take the space of code quality, not of code generation. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does in the context of AI generating code. How about the other platforms, Mritya, where developers started using this no code, low code platforms, right? Where the exposure of even code is very limited for the developers.
Yeah. So the biggest pain point that I've felt in no code, low code is some of the best practice that we wanted to include. For example, this is the doc that we have created for that. If you go to anti-patterns, for every other language, we have so many best practice that we have added by default. And you can click on any one of them and it will tell you that what is a good thing, what is a bad thing, and how it should be fixed. For example, what is a good thing, what is a bad thing, how it should be fixed. A lot of no code, low code, the code that they internally generate have a lot of these issues, that they're suboptimal, not optimized, have some issues, etc. So we actually sit on top of them and make sure the code, even that no code, low code has generated, we will scan that, find most critical security vulnerabilities and anti-patterns, and give you one-click fixing.
Okay, so you have tried it, right? That's my question. You have tried
Yeah.
the code
We have
generated
tried.
by the circuit. Okay.
Yeah, this is why we created this is the database of 30,000 plus policies that we have added. So everyone can visit docs.codeant.ai. This is actually a manual process that we have done documenting 30,000 best practices in different languages. And this is where we were in stealth for the first 6 months creating this. We created our own security database, which has at least 7,000 plus policies, and we have integrated these best practices across tools, etc. And this gives us an edge, and this makes us deterministic.
Excellent. Thanks.
Amartya, Bhavyan here. Very nice presentation. It was really cool to see all these things, right? And I can completely relate with what you are trying to solve, right? Again, I would extend on Srini's thing, right? Like today we are actively using Copilot, okay, in our organization. So definitely there is going to be some comparison point against that, right? Have you guys done enough analysis as to how Copilot or how Codant is going to be better than Copilot, number one? And second is, what about hallucinations? Because that is like the biggest issue with these with the LLM or the other technology right now, right? So how do you make sure that developers are not put off with these things? So yeah.
Sure. So I'll break that question into two parts. The first part was basically, how do we compare with Copilot? I tell you that we don't compare with Copilot. So right now, leave Copilot and let's take our normal SDLC cycle. We have developers who are generating code, and we have code quality checkers. Uh, we use static analytics tools, correct? Static analysis, let's say SonarQube, Coverity, anything that scans the code every time a developer is committing. Do we do that at Commvault? Like,
No. So what there is static analysis too. Yes, we are doing a lot of static analysis. Then there is the security scans and all those things.
Exactly.
But by the way, right, we have now taken a pretty big initiative where we have started doing TDD, right, which is test-driven development. So there we don't even write code first, we write test cases first, and then we go into writing code. So those are the kind of variants which are out there. So, but yeah, anyways, continue.
Yeah. So let's take that caveat where we found out that every organization has something that is checking their code every time a developer or an AI is committing it for security, firstly, compliance, that is the second. Third is misconfigurations. Fourth is CPU memory latency or basic optimizations. We want to be a player in this space who dominates this entire market. This is a well-established market. We have 4 players who are doing more than $3.5 billion in ARR. And one of the biggest players is Veracode and SonarCube. Both the lead investors of these 2 companies have invested in our company, and they have led a seed round. But leaving that aside, we want to be a player who leads code quality. And why we are the best, that is the second question that you asked, which is hallucinations. Any code generation tool that you pick, even SVBench, which is there, they claim they are 13 or 14% accurate, correct? Which is like the code that they're generating, they're just 14% accurate. And they are the highest. Even OpenAI or ChatGPT comes below that. Copilot also ranges somewhere in that range. And that's going to stay for a couple of years. We are also bullish on that it will grow, but that is the current state of the art, correct? What do we need is actually a person who understands what is good, what is bad, create that first database, use that, create templatized versions, and then use ASTs and AI together to autofix. Let me break it down even further to help you understand. Let's say your developer wrote a code, okay? We will break that code into understanding how each and every function is related to every other function using ASTs. That is the first thing. The second thing, the code will go for a detection engine where we'll run our own fixed set of policies, which is 30,000 of these, plus some AI policies on them to find out where the code is going to fail or insecure or bad. The third thing is actually the fixing. In the fixing part, today around 70 to 80% of the fixing that we provide is actually AST powered. Okay. AST powered fixing is 100% accurate all the time. And that is the only reason why we are able to crack enterprise clients, because our results are 80% of the time they're powered by ASTs. Now let's come across and say that there'll be cases where ASTs won't work and we need more context or deeper understanding. We'll go for the AI. When, let's say, a code piece goes for the AI, we run AI to fix the code. But let's say the AI didn't fix it, or it did fix it. We won't trust the AI. We will take the code ahead, run the same detection, which detected the issue initially on the fixed code. So imagine we found an issue. Let's say AI said that I fixed it. I run the same detection on the fixed code. And this builds a very strong evaluation engine for me. Let's say it still didn't fix it. We won't show it to the user. Else, if it fixed it, we'll take it ahead. Now also we won't show the result. We will run language specific checks, syntactical checks, semantical checks. If it passes all 3 of them, then we show it to the user.
So
one more thing, we are the only
Amartya,
tool in the market.
sorry,
Sure.
let me pause you there. So what that really means is it's possible that your tool may not capture all the review feedbacks, right? Like I cannot really just trust this tool to do all the reviews. I will still need a human to make sure things are going to be working as expected, right? Because there is going to be a failure.
No, so in AI, what we do is we have built such a strong mechanism that even if we are not sure, even 1%, we don't show the result to the user. It's as simple as that.
But do you prompt saying that, hey, the humans, like it's like, think about like Tesla's FSD, right? Like somewhere FSD gives up and says, hey, humans will have to now take the control, right? Do you provide that kind of output saying that, yes, we are, something is not right here. We will need a human to review it.
For example, you say this, there were issues and you see AI here. So this is the prompt that we give. The same prompt will also come on the editors. the same prompt will also come on the pull request that this is AI suggested.
But what about the things that you could not, as you said, right? Because there might be things that you may not be able to really figure out, right?
Correct.
In those scenarios, how do you really prompt? Like, can I just trust my question is, can I just trust the system as is?
Yeah. So let's say this is the place where we were not able to provide fixing. Okay.
Hmm.
What we did was we just provided you the details. We didn't try fixing it. We will report it to you, but we won't go ahead and fix it. Does it make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that's good
All,
enough then.
all right. So Amrita, in the interest of time, we'll let the other speakers come in now. And you already got a lot of virtual thumbs up, so you got the feedback already. So thank you, Amrita. Please be
Sure.
with us. And with this, we move to our next speaker. We have Deepak Kalhan joining us from Chandigarh. He's the founder of Apto.ai. Deepak, can we please have you on the screen?
Yeah. Hey, Naman. Hi, team.
Hi,
I'm sorry,
and just quickly to all our participants, just quickly before Deepak comes in, to all our participants, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, right? And Deepak, over to you. Please go ahead.
Hey, hi, guys. First of all, Naman, thank you very much for the lovely introduction in the start of the session. Right.
So let us all see you, please. We can't see you right now.
The issue is with my cameras. I'm really sorry.
No problem. Please go on.
Driver
No problem. Please go on.
Camera drivers are not working. All right, guys. So I'm Deepak. I'm a part of Apto.ai, a founding member team of Apto.ai, and I have heard a lot from you guys using codec, co-pilots, and I'm really thankful for the Codeant guys who are saying that the no-code, low-code platform generates only 30% or 40% validated code and all, right? But let me tell you, my screen is visible to you guys. Is my screen not visible to you? No? Oh,
No.
okay,
We can't see it.
my bad. My bad. Sorry. So is it visible now?
Yes.
Guys, is it visible?
World's first AI full stack engineer.
So we are the world's first. I heard from Praveen sir also, about Devin on the AI software engineer and all, So we also claim, we don't claim, actually we do for AI full stack development completely. And why it is that these are companies who are trusting us a little bit about what we are doing, how you are mapping it. We have completely homegrown AI engine, which actually, generates end-to-end code for you, which I will show you in the next slide. It's not only generating an end-to-end code, but it will have a lot of other things into that. But you see, we have been covered by Everest, and has been directly, compared with Unqua, OutSystems, Mendix, and APMs of the world, right? So we have been covered by HFS also. But why these companies have covered us? Let me show you this. This is where the biggest problem of any enterprise comes up, SDLC cycle. So we says our engine writes a code like a full stack. That means it's write a code in for your web application, Android and iOS. It designs a database for you. We have a multiple connectivity, whether it is MySQL, Oracle, SQL Plus, MongoDB, Postgres, anything. It builds like, and then on the single click, it deploys on your platform, right? It could be any platform, whether it is Azure, whether it is AWS, whether it is Google Cloud, or on your prem also, right? Which means the code has been downloaded and you can actually take the code away. So we have done a small comparison, quick comparison on what other no-code, low-code platforms are doing it. The co-pilots and Devins are using it. You still need a technical knowledge. We talked about a lot of co-pilots and all. You still need a technical knowledge to deploy the code, right? You still need in this environment you cannot download the code, right? Where we says the system will create. You come to the platform, it will generate a code for you for your web, Android, and iOS native application and mobile native. That means it's all up to you, right? It tests it for you, it deploys it for you. As I said, it also generates some reports for you based on what kind of a data you wanted to capture. And the best part is you can download the code and walk away. That means the code belongs to you, right? So your IP, your company's IP belongs to you, right? What kind of a feature we are having here? You can write your own plugin. That means, if some features, some plugins out of this list, you can build a multilingual application, OCR module, IoT based application, location intelligence, document manipulation kind of application, any RESTful API integration, XML integrations, video conference, chatbot implementations, or so and so on. What kind of, any business rules, anything into that. And the system will generate a code for those and give it to you. You download, pull it to any of your cloud support. It is, as I told you, it's a mobile native application, will get. And the another good part is you can actually upload your own CSS. That means the kind of color combination, the kind of logos, whatever you wanted, you can actually do it. No downtime requires. The moment you click on publish, it will deploy it on all those three platforms. Test it, version controlled it, and deploy it on those three platforms automatically. As I said, it also generates reports for you based on what kind of a data you wanted. It will suggest you that you may require these many reports for your application what you are developing. So we have you can connect it to any database. And the another best part here is, you can have a different web and mobile interfaces designed for you, right? That means the same application can be seen differently on the web and the mobile, the different design. It is not a wraparound, right? So what is the takeaway? I'm talking about a code, download the code, you can walk away and all those things. The system generates, I'm sorry for that, the system generates 100% code in Java, React.js, and React Native, right? The code has been tested by our clients. InfoSec compliance has been tested. They have done a VATP testing, they have done a pen testing. They found no bug in the code. Simultaneously, as I mentioned, it also gives you the Android and web application. You can actually reduce the cost and the development time by 65 to 75% on that, right? Any questions, guys, on that before going into the demonstration of a product?
Deepak, you have 4 minutes. I think you can go to the demo part directly now.
Okay. So let me show you the kind of application has been developed on this platform. This is a fintech application, which is a loan management application, has completely been developed on the platform without any, a coder intervene into this, developed by two non-coders, end to end, and the system has generated the code for this. I will just show you a very simple, one form, where we says, okay, you can see the complexity of the form here, right? You have a lot of form designs on this, then it is getting mapped to the different, personal information. You can add whatever information you wanted to add it, and so on. A complete loan management system with no coding, coder developers and all, right? So then we have a Boni. Boni is a fleet management company which actually goes for checks, tracks where their trucks are going, whether the trucks are mapping to the right map, and they check it how long they have stayed back into this. Let me open up again for you. Okay, I think this server is not there, but let me show you this ADU application. This is complete ERP system which they have built, management, project planning management system for their flyovers and all. It's a government organization which we have built it for them. Completely built, zero, developer intervene into that. They have completely built this application on the system, and it's a complete ERP. So you can see how much masters they have added into this. They have also have weighing management, how much fuel they wanted to check it, for the distributor and all those things. You see motive applications here. This is a event management application which they have built it, using our platform, a completely end-to-end application developed and deployed automatically on their server, right? It is not our server. I can show you one of this. This is our server where they have developed, but they deployed it on their server, which we don't have an access for that, right? So these are the kind of application which has been developed, but how it will develop, right? So I will show you the interface at the back, right? So this is our platform. We can say a developer console where you come up and start developing that applications, right? It starts from models. Models are nothing, is your database, right? So that means what kind of a data you wanted to capture in this whole program, right? Then it becomes the security. So you write your own rules and permissions and everything here. Then you come up with the, oh, I think I logged out. So, okay, so then it comes up into a permission screens. What kind of screens means? Basically, what happened? Sorry guys, my bad. I think the deployment started. Okay, meanwhile, you guys have any question? I think the server just.
So right, Deepak, we may now open up for quick questions while the screen.
You can, yeah, meanwhile, you can see.
I think it's taking time. So
yeah,
I'll request our experts, if they have any question for Deepak, please
so
go on.
Yeah, just showing you the screens, how the screens comes up. Then you create your menus here. What all menus you can come up. You set your settings. Whatever settings. Settings means like what you wanted on the platform, whether it is a third-party API integration you are looking out, whether you are looking out users to look upon, whether it is a Figma design which you wanted to upload and get these models done. So that means basically when you have a Figma for you, a page like this, Figma page, we have just done a very simple a Figma design. You can upload that Figma design basically from here, and it will automatically convert all the automatically create a database, create a screens based on what you want. If it is a date of birth, gender, city, age, if it is a phone number, it will automatically take care of all those things and run this.
Right.
So, and it will create automatically all the database, that means the models. It will create the screens for you automatically from here. And, you just need to come up and give a menus from here.
All right, Deepak. All right. So looks good.
Any questions, guys? I'm
Yes,
sorry for
any
the
quick
glitch.
questions? Looks like there's some network issue at your end. So we'll take just, couple of questions before we move to the next speaker. Any questions from anyone? If not, we'll take them offline. All right, Deepak, thank you. Thank you for the pitch. With this, we move to our next speaker, last speaker for the day. We have Abhishek from Kusho.ai. All right,
Yeah,
Abhishek.
thank you. Yeah.
Right. We have Abhishek and Saurabh. All right, perfect. We see
Yeah.
you now. Over to you. You may share your screen, take us through the demo and your presentation. Over to you guys.
Yes, just give me a second to share my screen. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, we can see it now.
Cool. So I'll quickly get started here. We'll try to wrap this up in 8 minutes if possible. But yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Naman, for setting this up. Thank you, Sushant, for setting up the meeting and like inviting us to present in front of the esteemed panel today. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking along. And yeah, good evening, everyone. And let me just quickly get started. We've had everyone talking about how AI and generative AI is changing how code is created. So I would like to take a segue into talking about something slightly different. We've had a lot of talk about in general in the world, right, in the last 1 year, about how AI is going to write software. There are AI software developers and all of that. And of course, like very, very fundamentally important for the way the world is progressing. But that brings us to another question, right? There's a lot of software that's been created in the world today. Every company in the world is slowly transforming into a software company, right? The governments across the world are spending more on software infra along with just physical infra, right? What happens to software quality in that case, right? And that's where Kusho.ai kind of has set a small step forward and something that we are trying to make a meaningful difference in. So I'm Abhishek. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at Kusho.ai. And along with me, I have two of my teammates, my co-founder and CTO, Saurabh, and our head of sales and growth, Akshay. Believe in teamwork, so that's why all of us are present on this call today. Let me quickly get you started about what we are, what we do, and where all of this is sort of leading to. And like I said, we'll try to wrap this up very quickly. So sort of when I started working on Kusho.ai about a year ago, the idea was to work on something and solve something that we've seen very, very closely, and something that would make a meaningful difference to our lives, given we had spent a lot of time, nearly a decade, in tech teams, working on data science problems, very core product and machine learning AI problems. Used to work at Flipkart before this, so saw a lot of this play out firsthand there. And like I said, it's a different segue from actually trying to replace a software developer. In fact, our biggest supporters at Kusho.ai have been software developers themselves, which kind of is proven by the fact that we have over 1,000 software developers across the world using our product today. And all of this has happened in the span of the last 5 months. The reason being, one of the biggest pain points that software developers have is, once I have written code and pushed it to production, how do I make sure it does not break? How do I make sure that the software that I've written can actually take the rough nature of the practical world, can actually face all the scenarios that could potentially occur when it goes to production and actually come back unscathed? Now I want you all to sort of think of a scenario, right? Times when your favorite apps didn't work. Let's say you switched on the Uber app, you're looking for a cab, it's raining, but the app is glitching. That is a moment when you decide that, okay, you're probably not going to use Uber again, you might switch to Ola. Those are the points that break confidence in apps. Those are the points that actually matter to these companies. And those are problems that we are attempting to solve today, right? So again, like I said, the idea is to make sure apps and websites and all the tech that is created is actually production ready. And when it goes out into the world, it can actually face all the issues that come up there and come back unscathed, right? I'll go a little deeper into what we are doing now. Once the why sort of is clear here, we are trying to essentially embark on a journey right here. And the first thing is, I mean, we've already spoken about how ChatGPT is changing how we code today. GitHub Copilot is changing how we code today, right? What Kusho.ai does essentially is it plans scenarios, right? So let's say, for example, like going back to the same Uber example, right? If an Uber app were to be used at a time when there are 1,000 people trying to get cabs at the same point of time from the same location, right? Would it be able to handle that kind of traffic? What if people, point out locations that are only 100 meters away from each other? Would it be able to handle that kind of traffic, that kind of scenarios, right? So what Kusho does is it does the work that the software developer ideally would have had to do, where they sit, they think of all the scenarios that could occur, they write the code for that, they test it out, and then they find out what could potentially break. That entire workflow is actually automated and done end to end completely by the AI agent that we've created, right? And that's what is live in production today, and that's what 1,000 developers are using across the world today. That's a small starting point for our AI agent. But like I said, the idea is to move towards a world where software developer focus more on actually building out software, thinking of features, doing all the creative work that goes into software development, where and Kusho AI acts like the trusty sidekick that ensures that nothing ever breaks in production. All the hard work that goes into building apps and building so much technology that is practically running the world today is actually bulletproof and it works as expected, right? Moving on, I would like to share a few more details about how Kusho works, right? And what I have on the screen in front of you is a very simple comparison, right? Let's start with a manual testing scenario versus a testing with Kusho AI scenario, right? Manual testing today is done, like I said, by software developers or quality assurance teams or software development engineers in test teams. What they have to do is, like I said, manually think of all scenarios. So that inherently makes the process very, very time inefficient. Secondly, it's also error prone, right? Because there are only so many scenarios that a human being can think of. They also block bandwidth because, and again, this is coming from personal experience where software developers are very worried about things breaking once they go live. So they actually spend more time making sure nothing breaks rather than actually building out something that is more delightful for the user or more profit making for the company. And eventually what happens is they end out eventually pushing erroneous code in production, which breaks. Now, how does this scenario change with Kusho AI? Kusho AI is an agent which comes in and understands what your API does. Now, just quick context on an API, I think we've got a very technically proficient audience here. But just to reinstate, an API is a block of code which takes certain information and processes it, right? So in a very, very simple terminology, that's what it does. And most backends today, right, we are living in an API first world. Most backend systems, most software systems today are API driven. Kusho understands every single API that exists in your company. When I say it understands what it does, what inputs it takes, what outputs are expected from it, how it's supposed to function, what security vulnerabilities could exist, what performance levels are expected from it. Then it actually starts in writing tests. When I say actually starts in writing tests, it literally writes out code for every single scenario that it envisions the API facing when it goes out in production, right? And it does that super, super quickly. So just to give you a very quick example, a human being, let's say to write a set of 10 tests would maybe take an hour, write it out, code it out, and actually automate it. Kusho writes about 150 tests in 2 minutes. That's how fast it is. So just to bring this into broader context, if you have, let's say, 500 APIs, it would roughly take a human team 125 man days to actually finish it out. So practically, if you have a 20-member team, that eventually takes you weeks to actually get done with. Whereas if you look at Kusho for 500 APIs just takes 17 hours. So it's still under a day. So basically, you can start the test generation process over the weekend, and by Monday, you have all your scenarios planned out, which are auto updating, which are completely ready for production, extremely cheap to run because we have an AI agent doing it instead of a human team. And you can actually use the bandwidth, those weeks of bandwidth that would have actually gone into this, into actually building something that, we can build more features, build stuff that actually moves the company forward, right? I'll just take a pause here. I would like to ask Saurabh, my colleague, to actually show a demo of how Kusho works. What we are going to do, like I said, is we're going to pick up a version of Kusho, show you exactly how it generates tests and how it works in real life today and what software developers who are actually onboarded on the platform are using. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so that Saurabh can start.
I am sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see the screen.
All right. Let's get started then. Yep.
Yeah, cool. So if you can all see Saurav's screen, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a simple example here. And like I said, right, the idea is to allow you to actually test something out. What we're going to take here is we're going to take an example of a banking API, which creates tests, which creates a bank account for you. So it takes in a user's details as inputs. Let's say I want to create a bank account with SBI. I'm going to go to the website. I'm going to add my basic details like, my name, my phone number, my email address, PAN number, Aadhaar number, etc. It's going to take all of that and create a record in the banking system saying, yes, Abhishek wants to create a bank account with SBI, right? Now there's so much that can go wrong with that API, right? And we've all had experiences with buggy banking systems. And maybe in a Kusho world, it would have been slightly different. But yeah, giving you an example, Saurabh just added the details manually here. And just to show you how it works, he's going to click on the generate button here. And as you can see on your screen, right, you can see the Kusho dashboard. And what it's doing right now, it's actually looking at the banking API. It's understood the fact that this is a banking API. It's going to create a bank account. It's also going to write all the scenarios that could potentially happen. So like I said, right, you're going to take in name, PAN number, etc. It thinks of all the scenarios and all the ways this could break, and every single way is shown up as a test here, right? So if you can look at the tests on your screen that are showing up, and like I said, it writes tests very, very quickly. What if there's an empty PAN number field? You should actually go back to the user and say, hey, your PAN number is empty. Without this, we can't process your CIBIL score and we can't create a bank account for you. It thinks of what if somebody puts in the PAN number in lowercase, will it work? What if they accidentally put extra digits in the PAN number? Will it be able to handle those scenarios or will it break? What if there are invalid characters? While typing, people tend to make mistakes. They might type, a space bar there or a full stop there, something like that. Ideally, your system should be able to handle that scenario and come back and say, hey, you've got a special character here, which you need to remove. Please re-enter your PAN number. It creates scenarios for every single situation that could happen when this banking API goes live and you actually create a page to allow people to create a bank account using your system, right? So I think the generation process is complete. Or if you could just scroll up a bit. Yeah, so what we've done is we've created a 140 test and you saw how long it took. It takes about 2 minutes. In this case, it took slightly lesser, but roughly, depending on the complexity of the API, complexity of your backend, takes anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 minutes to actually generate all of these things. All of these tests auto update based on any changes in your system. So like we all know, most systems, most platforms today are extremely dynamic. Software changes every day. Software is added and removed every day. Kusho adapts to all of those changes on the fly. Once you set it up, there is no effort required from you to actually, think of, okay, I need to feed more information into Kusho. Do I need to handhold it? Nothing like that. It works with your existing systems. If you could scroll up a little bit, Saurabh, I'm just going to talk about not just functional tests. So what you see here typically is what we call functional tests, which is it able to understand the functionalities or handle the functionalities of this API, which is take in the right fields and give out the right information. Additionally, Kusho even does security testing for you, which is very, very essential to any software product today. So if you can see on your screen, Kusho actually writes software tests. These are like, let's say, authentication information is correct. Like for a banking API, this would be super, super important. What if there's an injection attack? What if there are scammers trying to, hammer it in? Maybe there's a DOS attack happening. All of those scenarios are actually written out by Kusho, customized for your API. You can actually test all of these out just to ensure that maybe, you're not leaving any security vulnerabilities out for people to actually, make use.
Almost time, Abhishek. Quickly, if you can wind it up.
Absolutely, Naman, almost there. I just, in the interest of time, there's also performance tests, which we won't cover, which is basically the idea that will it be able to handle, let's say something again, like, I've faced at Flipkart before, but what if 10 lakh people show up at the same time? Will your API be able to handle it? Very, very crucial to all of these software systems. All of this works completely autonomously across thousands of APIs. You can plug it into your deployment pipeline and completely forget about it. It will tell you if something's going to break, at which point it becomes the software developer's best friend. I'm just going to leave it here and sort of open up to any questions at this point.
All right. Thank you, Abhishek, Saurabh. Okay, that was quite a crisp and clear pitch, I must say. And Abhishek, I have to say, I love the message, particularly on your website, right? It's a pretty cool message. Kusho raises $600,000 to help startup or developers build bug-free software, right? That's pretty cool way to tell how you're going to justify that funding. So good job, guys. We now open up a question. Now that we have seen some incredible pitches, we would love to hear from our experts, right? And we also open up our this platform for discussion, right? So can we have our experts on the screen, please? All right, we have Shri. All right, so let me also, put up a question. Which of these you saw three, you witnessed today, we witnessed three wonderful startup pitches. So which of these AI-driven innovation do you think, has the most potential to disrupt the current state of software development? And also a follow-up question would be, what challenges do you foresee in implementing these technologies at scale within your own respective organizations? Over to you. Anyone who wants to take it up? Srini?
Okay, Naman, sorry, I got distracted. What was your second question?
I'm saying, let's say if you want to deploy some of the solutions under the open innovation model, so what do you think, what are the challenges do you foresee in implementing these technologies at scale within the organizations?
Okay. No, so I'll answer that the second part first, right? Especially looking at all these three solutions, there are different challenges for each of them. But Abhishek, for your solution, right? In fact, I had that as a question. The challenge would be in actually understanding the format in which the user stories or requirements are given, right? Traditionally, we have come up from an age of no documentation to documenting something in a Word document and all that, came to Jira world, user stories, right? And then even an expert, a testing person will interpret that in a different way and create a test case, pass it, and then realize in UAT or production that it doesn't work the way it is, right? So that's going to be a major, challenge in standardizing the way or increasing the intelligence of your algorithm to decipher it in the right way, right? That's wonderful. And I don't know if your solution deals with any test data, because I saw the test case part, right? If it is, then dealing with test data, creating the synthetic test data is going to be a major problem for yours, right? And that would be my response number here. And from a code review solution that we saw, the challenge there, I see a lot of applicability of that, because still we are using the SonarQube, right? And though we say that we started using GenAI, I don't know, whether about your killing SonarQube, but that's a good aspiration. But then the problem is there are 10 ways to fix for one SonarQube comment, right? And I see that 10 different developers following 10 different approaches and feeling it, right? And I do not know how will you define or justify that this is the best way to fix for that. Okay, that is the challenge that I see there.
Well, that was quite insightful, Srini. Thank you so much for that. Anything from you, Nitya? Any input, any feedback?
So I will again just take the second question first, but I think just my take on the first question is every demo, every solution has been unique, and it's been playing in the very crisply in the domains or in the areas that they are focusing, right? And I had a couple of questions to Abhishek, Akshay, and Saurabh. again, maybe that was my bad, that I could not catch the generation part as much as I could catch the automation part in your solution. Because what I could see is that, there are manual, otherwise whatever would have been a manual test case generation, right, is now getting automated. And if you talk about, the example which you showed, which is, creation of an account in a bank, it's pretty, I would say, a done and dusted and a repeated problem. So you generally, it wouldn't be such a big challenge to envision, to imagine the breadth of test cases that are required there, right? So how do you differentiate yourself from, being an automation to kind of, to generation here?
Yeah, sure, Nitya. Thank you so much for your question. I think completely agreed on like using sort of a beaten roulette example here. But the point was just to pick up something that has sort of been seen by everyone and could be relatable and would better allow us to sort of explain the test scenarios. But fair point there. I think about the generation bit, like I said, right, and how does it differentiate from current automation platforms and tools? The major point of differentiation comes into the fact that every single test case today is written by Kusho. And if you take, something very specific, right? I think let me just talk about like, specific thing that we've seen one of our, customers, one of the largest e-commerce platforms in India kind of uses. They have APIs which they use for supply chain, right? And these are very, very specific scenarios where they need to provide route details for every single delivery executive from morning to evening. What's the route they need to take? What are the packages they need to deliver, in what order, and by what time? Those are fairly complex APIs, right? Now, I think, and sort of would like to allude to what Srini also said. Thankfully, most of these companies have had decent amount of documentation. So we've been able to use the documentation. Kusho passes through the documentation and actually writes each of those scenarios, code for each of those scenarios, which was being done manually by the team earlier. So the team used to think about, hey, what if the distances are too far apart? In that case, is the API able to handle the routing for that or not? Let's say if there are 100 packages to be done, is it able to handle that or not? Things like that are different kinds of scenarios. And that's the process that Kusho takes over. And we've seen that at least in that specific scenario, Kusho has been faster and more efficient because you're just able to think of the more scenarios, and it's been trained specifically for that. Now, in a situation where the documentation doesn't exist, absolutely it would be a challenge. And that's something that we are also training our models and sort of working towards, where we've built out a model that we put out that says that even if you have a document that talks about this is what the API does, these are the acceptance criteria, these are the inputs it takes, things like that. We actually take that and write additional test cases based on that acceptance criteria and all of that. So it's a work in progress, to be honest. But wherever you have ready documentation in the form of, let's say, an open API specification, right? Or anything, even like a lot of people use Postman for this purpose. Even a Postman collection that talks about what the API does, Kusho is able to pass that and write out these different scenarios and situation. And that's specifically how it differs. Because if you look at the Postmans of the world today, they provide a lot of automation capabilities. What they do not do, however, is actually think of the scenarios and write code for them. And that's what Kusho does, which brings the time to actually test significantly down from what a human would take to do.
Okay. So I leave you here with this thought that the example which you mentioned, which is a typical traveling salesman problem about finding the best route optimization. Um, if you're picking that up as an example, right, to demonstrate Kusho's capability, just be mindful that there are tried and tested softwares out there. As long as you differentiate yourself either as an omni-use solution, that it's not just this problem, we can solve any problem, documentation or no documentation, I think there'll be, you might be kind of challenged in terms of finding the sweet spot or the blue ocean that you want to target there, right? So that's one thing. And to Amartya, my the feedback has been that's great. For a person who is like as code blind as me, it still did make sense. So I think that's a job well done. Uh, but the point is, again, what I could see is that there is a lot of decision that you are passing on to the developer, right? You said, right, at some point in time that, the developer is free to choose whether to implement or not. What if I am one of the rogue developers and I say I don't choose anything, right?
Yeah.
So there has to be a sensitization of this decision, passing on this decision to the developer, right? Or sometimes, you also need to be mindful that certain code is written in a certain way because there has been a reason, right, in terms of the requirement being a bit complex. And so how do you kind of factor in all of those complexities in your logic, or in your generation is something that you might want to look at it. Because I'd been an SAP person, and I know that back then, about I would say around 8 years back, we had a similar facility with SAP. So I would rather say that maybe a certain bit, again, a little more differentiation to find your blue ocean is going to be kind of very crucial here.
Sure. Basically, both your question, Nitya, and Srini's question actually come to the same pain. I'll just take 5 seconds and I'll show one thing, because I think this will be relevant to both of you. Do let me know when you can see my screen. Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So guys, the basic question is from Srini was, what if sonar just detects, but you are saying that you will fix it, but how are you sure about it? And Nitya's question was, sometimes we actually want developer to fix it because we have seen failures and we know exactly this is the way to fix. So how can we get both of them together? So this is the one thing that we added, because exactly the same feedback we got from Tata 1MG. So we added a configuration rule channel. So you pick any language, there's 30 plus language. So let's say I pick Python. I'll see all these 7,000, 8,000 policies in Python. Okay. And let's say I picked one. I can change the visibility. Do I want to see it or not in the entire code base? I can change the vulnerability and type. I can change the severity. And the best thing is I can change the templating, whether it is a bad or a good. Let's say you're a repository owner and you said that it should always be visible and it should always be shown. It's a major issue. Then only repository owners have this access to this point. Once they set it up, everything that the developer will be seeing on their editors or on their pull request will be coming in the mandatory field, because it has been reviewed by the person who owns the repository. And Srini, to answer your question, this is the way we make sure that the suggestion that we are going is also tested. Does it answer both the question? If not, you can tell me.
It does. It does.
Yeah, it does to a reasonable extent. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amartya. And thanks, Abhishek and the Kusho.ai team and everybody, and
All right.
the other group, Deepak. Yeah, thank you so much.
Any closing remarks?
I'm very sorry
Bhavya?
for the glitch happened. The server suddenly got down. So my developer console, I'm really sorry for that. But I'm still open for any question if you have.
No worries, Deepak. We'll connect offline as well, All right, so we have gone way past our scheduled time today, which, only means one thing. That is, today's discussion was just too good to stop. That's what I feel, right? So thank you, everyone, for joining us, right? All right, we have one question. Okay, please go on, and then we'll close. Do we have any question? Okay. All right, so we'll close today, right? We have heard some good pitches, great pitches from our innovative startups, and some really good insights from our experts, right? Please feel free to connect with them on LinkedIn, and we'll also connect with you all offline. So once again, thank you so much for making this session very special. Let's continue to push boundaries and stay connected, keep innovating, and we look forward to seeing you again at our next session. Have a great evening, everyone, and we'll be sharing the recording of this session with all of you individually. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.